Hello everyone, this is Chris, and spawn is usually considered to be one of the most important parts of a seed, and today's seed, as you can see, is quite the interesting phenomenon that happened, we could call it that. Because here's where spawn is, right here, right where I placed down this diamond pillar, and you spawn in right next to a village. And I mention this all the time, but it's always the best place to get yourself started with starter food, with some maybe starter materials and other types of things like that. But the other side of spawn, as you can see, is this massive savanna mountain hill. And if we fly up to the top, we can see, like, yeah, this is a very steep and a very big savanna mountain right here, and it goes up and down. It's not just one singular slope going up. There is many places to go down, many places to go up, and other types of things like that. And in the current 1.17 update, this is pretty much the most vertical you can get right now, and it is absolutely phenomenal. It is absolutely amazing to see something like this right at spawn. And you can even see in some places that it goes up to literally as high as the 1.17 generation will allow it to, around about Y128. So in case you want some of the most vertical terrain in the current update, then this is certainly the perfect spawn for you. But it's not just about the spawn or the village or other types of things like that that makes this seed interesting. There's also plenty of different types of things around spawn which you might be looking out for, such as this little phenomenon, a Pillager Outpost, which just so happens to sit relatively close to this desert temple, which makes sort of a challenge. Like, if you really want to get yourself the loot from this desert temple, then you might want to be just a little bit more careful than usual when heading yourself down here. Not only because of this this TNT trap, but also because of the friends you'll meet along the way, or the lack of friends along the way in this case. And there's actually another desert temple not too incredibly far from the Pillager temple, so in case you want one without having to deal with pillagers, then maybe head yourself to this one. And if you are heading yourself over to this desert temple, then you might just want to pop over here just to see what you could have gotten for a savanna hill, because this is a shattered savanna mountain, which, you know, usually is supposed to go up at least some amount of blocks, but this goes up, what is this, 5-6 blocks or something like that. These types of shattered savannas are easily some of the most disappointing ones, and you luckily have one just sitting yourself right here. But something that's a little bit more lucky than that is actually this other village, which sits itself right over here, which just so happens to spread itself out over across into a desert just about, which also happens to spawn right next to this one rune portal. If we dig it out just a little bit, we can see that there is literally no crying obsidian here at all. So if we find ourselves the chest, then we might actually have a chance of having a full nether portal completely already made for you without having to get yourself a single block of obsidian. Okay, I'm not making this up. There's literally the perfect amount of obsidian you need, the 2 bits right here. So yeah, in case you do want to head yourself to the nether, which anyone would probably want to do, then this literally is probably the perfect rune portal to do it at. And speaking of the perfect place to do it at, let's see actually what type of spawn we actually get. And this is your spawn right here, inside of a soul sand valley, right next to a huge lava lake. But heading back over to spawn, we can see other types of phenomenons that happen inside the seed, such as this desert village, which just so happens to spawn the majority of its villages inside of a plains biome. So in case you want this sort of I don't know what you even call it, like a village that's having an identity crisis or something like that, but in case you do want to have 2 different types of villages over here, then this is probably the place to do it at. And something else you might want to take advantage of is this right here, this forest mountain. In case if, like, say a friend manages to claim the spawn mountain, then have no fear, because there are plenty of other different types of mountains and hilly terrain, other types of things like that around the seed, and this is just one example of it. And some of the other mountainous terrain is these mega sand dunes. Yeah, there are plenty of desert mountains and desert hills all over this seed. So in case you want to, I don't know, make a desert a desert mountain base. I don't think I've ever seen one of those before, but in case you don't want to do it, then there is plenty of opportunities to do it here, but typically that's not something people usually do. Usually they mine out deserts or something like that, so don't worry, there are plenty of other types of mountainous terrain, as I have mentioned, such as this second shattered savanna, which just so happened to spawn next to this, what do you call this thing right here? The shattered savanna hills, just the normal savanna hills. So yeah, a very interesting style terrain generation where we have one type of savanna mountain generating right on top of another one. And this one has a little bit more flatness here and there, which is fine because that just makes the mountain parts of this biome much more significant. But heading around roughly where the spawn of the world is, I actually missed a couple of things around here, such as this one village, which just so happened to coincide with this desert temple. And if we head inside, we can see none of it gets cut off or anything like that, because I believe the desert temple can overwrite anything, such as this one singular pen right here with this one singular horse in here. But it also means you get broken water. I always happen to find broken water in seeds, and this is no exception. There is yet again even more broken water inside this seed. But something that's just a little bit more interesting than a desert temple spawning inside a village is this one ravine right here. Not just because you could find plenty of other types of ores and things like that down here, but also because there's a mob spawner sitting itself right the way down here. As of 1.17, mob spawners have become way more rare, so having one just sitting itself right here, literally not too incredibly far from spawn, pretty cool, and slightly rare thing. And I wasn't kidding when I said there was a lot of sand dunes on this seed, much like this one, which I think personally is one of my favorites, because heading itself just down here just has this small little opening which lets you go right the way through, which is very interesting. So again, in case you ever wanted to try making a desert mountain base, then I guess you once again have plenty of sand dunes to work with. And something else that you have a lot of in this seed is villages. And villages, particularly this one, has something very special and very important underneath. And you could probably already guess what it is. Yeah, it's the Stronghold sitting itself just right the way down here with the end portal frame and with like all the goodies and all the types of things like that around this place that you can get and that you can work with. But if you weren't too bothered with all the other types of things outside of spawn, then spawn is still a pretty good place to settle down. Still a pretty good place to do plenty of different types of things and plenty of different opportunities to do with this place. But yeah, for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.